Hi, everybody. This is Leah, and we are on Module 2 of our New Year, New You Reset group program. And I hope you had a great first week. And we're going to get started with our Module 2 right now. So let me share my screen, get that going for you. Let's see. Okay, so I hope that you had a great week, like I said, and I've heard from a few of you. And so don't be shy, just reach out and let me know how your week has been going. And I'm posting in our group Facebook, but those of you who aren't on it, I've been reaching out to you as well. And if you didn't get a chance yet to take a picture of your food journal for a day or two, then go ahead and do that and send that to me too. And I'll be happy to look over it and see if we can find some patterns. But let's get started on week 2. The first step towards getting anywhere is to decide that you are not going to stay where you are. I really do like this quote. You know, you've decided that you don't want to remain where you are, right? That's why you signed up. And I hope that's another reason why you did your why and your visualization worksheets last week. If you didn't, go ahead and do those. And that's going to give you some more insight into where you're wanting to head, right? So the second step that we're going to be talking about is you want to move forward. So let's pick one of those areas to work on. And it could be something that I'm including in this program because I am offering some different areas that we're working on, like, you know, nutrition and your daily affirmations. And this week, you'll see we're going to also talk about sleep and adding that into it as well. But you could pick something else, and then you just pick one small step to reach that goal, and you work on a little bit every day. And but if you do want one-on-one help, don't forget that you have access to me for 30 minutes during any of these 3 weeks, and I'd love to talk to you about that privately. All right, so today's agenda, we are going to be talking about habits, because those are so important. I'm going to give you one of my favorite strategies about habits and being able to succeed and make some positive ones. We're going to also dig into nutrition and talk about protein just a little bit more, but really dig into carbs today. Also going to talk about hydration and sleep. And I'm going to give you a couple of new affirmations and your action steps, and I'll answer some questions as well. All right, so your progress. We know that progress is made just a little bit every day, right? You didn't get here where you are right now in just one day, right? So a little bit of progress every day is going to also help you. So every small step really does make a difference, and your big results are going to come from those small steps. Now, you remember the story of an ant, right? And what an ant does. If an ant knows winter is coming, and God created them to kind of know that instinctively, right? They're going to start storing up food, one tiny piece of a morsel at a time. They're not going to have this great big pile of food in one day, right? They're going to do a little bit every day. And we also know there's a Bible story about that, about not being a sluggard, right? The ant isn't a sluggard. The ant does a little bit of work every day to store up food for the winter. So think about with you, that's what you're going to do. You're going to do a little bit every day to get toward, make progress toward your goal, right? And so just go back to what is your why. That will help motivate you. Why are you doing this? Okay. What was your main reason? Was it for overall health? Or maybe you didn't have any energy, you want to feel better? you want your metabolism to be reset, and you want to lose some weight. You're tired of being tired all the time. But go back and find out your why, and that's going to help you when you do have maybe an off day. So we talked last week about mindset and the difference in the fixed and growth mindsets. And I hope you were able to watch that video, because I went into it a little bit deeper. If not, go back and watch that. But we are wanting to have a growth mindset, right? We are wanting to make changes where needed. We're wanting to have kind of a can-do attitude. And we know that change can be hard sometimes, but we're just going to persevere a little bit at a time. Well, remember, your mindset actually equals your attitudes and habits, and that's going to create who we are, and that's going to actually shape your life and your future. It really is that simple. So you see, that's why your mindset, your attitudes are so important. The Bible says in Philippians 2:5 that we want to have the same attitude and mind of Christ, right? So if we are trying to be Jesus and like Jesus, right? Not that we're ever going to be Jesus, because we're not perfect, but if we're going to be trying to be like Jesus, we want to have the same attitude and mindset that he has. And that's regarding our health, our physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual, right? All right, so what are habits? Well, they're just actions or behaviors that you almost do without thinking, right? They're so routine, they're like autopilot. We repeat them so much, it's almost like they're subconscious, right? And we can have positive and we can have negative habits, right? So what are some of the positive habits? Well, you brush your teeth after meals, right? You wash your hands after using the restroom. Maybe you keep your gas tank filled if you live in Hurricane Alley like I do. I just threw that one in for fun. But some negative habits are things that might be sabotaging your desires, your actual goals, and you may not be aware of them. But what are some of those negative habits? Well, here's one. What about you get home from work and you're so tired, but your goal was that you wanted to walk like 2 nights a week when you got home, but you're so tired, you just start surfing the net or scrolling on your phone. And then before you know it, it's 7 o'clock and you have to get dinner and all that. Okay, that's a negative habit. What about when your alarm goes off in the morning, you hit the snooze button like numerous times, okay? And at that point, then you're going to be running late to either get your kids or grandkids up and ready for school, or for you to get to work, or for you to get to an appointment, or maybe you just wanted to get going earlier. And if you've hit snooze so much that now time has gone by and you don't have time to eat a healthy breakfast before you go, or even pack a healthy lunch, right? So part of this program is to try to help you form positive ones. So let's talk about that now. Here is one big strategy for creating a new habit. And once I found out about this a few years ago, it was a game changer. And it's for me and my clients as well. I don't know if you've heard about it. It's called habit stacking. Both James Clear, who wrote the book Automatic Habits, and BJ Fogg, who wrote the book called Tiny Habits, they discuss this concept of habit stacking. Now, while I don't agree 100% with everything they say in their books, the automation and the ease of habit formation that they both talk about is really life-changing, okay? So what do? You simply add a new habit to an old established habit. That's it. And it's going to increase your success rate. Here's an example. You brush your teeth probably 2 to 3 times a day, right? Well, how about if your goal was you wanted to decrease your fatigue, and I know that was one for some of y'all who joined this program, and you realize that nutrition is a big factor, but maybe your big step is just to drink more water, okay? Well, so what you're going to do is you could use a water app. There are ones on the phone, but you're going to have to get out your phone. You're going to have to enter in the information. If it works for you, that's fine. But habit stacking will make it even easier. You put a glass of water by your toothbrush in the bathroom or by your soap dispenser, and then Every time you go in there, you're going to see the water. You take a few sips. It's kind of a no-brainer, right? Here's another one. Last week, our one of our healthy action steps was to eat a healthy breakfast every day. So instead of preparing a breakfast every single morning, you decide that you're going to habit stack, okay? So after dinner at night, when you're putting away your leftovers, you decide you're going to go ahead and put a small portion, like a lunch size portion or a breakfast size portion, into a container, right? Then when you get up in the morning, you can either eat that for breakfast or you can pack it in your lunchbox and head out the door, okay? You see how easy that is? You're adding a new habit to an old establishment, right? All right, so here is the habit stacking formula. It basically says after or before I blank, so that's your current habit, I will blank, and that's your new habit, okay? So here's some more examples. After I pour a cup of coffee in the morning, I will read my Bible for 1 to 5 minutes. That's easy, right? Or before I pour my coffee, I will drink a small glass of water. So see, you're getting in more water that we just talked about. Or here's one, if you're wanting to work out or walk a little bit more, after I take off my work shoes, I will change into my workout clothes. That's pretty simple, but once you have your workout clothes on, you probably are going to go work out or go for a walk or a bike ride, right? Or here's one, after I get into bed at night, I will say one thing I'm grateful for. That's really easy to do, right? You're laying there, just say one thing, okay? Here's another one. Say you're wanting to read more, okay? After I climb into bed at night, I will read 3 pages of a book that you have already there on your nightstand. That's really easy, okay? So habit stacking allows you to create a new set of rules that's going to guide your future behavior by tapping on to one that you're already doing, okay? So this week, come up with one habit stacking sentence to help you with the action steps, okay? I like this quote by Jim Rohn. It says, success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day, okay? So those small little steps are going to help you, right? If you were going to run a marathon, if that was your goal, that's not mine, but it may be yours, okay? Success didn't occur when you completed that marathon. Success actually occurred when you first put out your shoes and your shirt and your shorts the night before to make sure you got up and you walked or make sure you ran the next morning. That was your first step, and that's how success will happen for you as well. Okay, so let's talk about hydration. That's one of our daily 4 frameworks. And why is hydration so important? Well, often when we feel hungry, we really are thirsty instead. Our body needs water for every part of our body, right? Every cell needs it. And after sleeping, we lose water and we need to replenish it, okay? That's one reason why I've said when you get up in the morning, drink water first before you drink coffee or tea. You want to replenish that water that you have lost overnight, okay? And so coffee and tea are actually diuretics, okay? So you want to replenish that water first before you drink some coffee or tea. Now, you might want to know how much should you drink. Well, most experts recommend about half your body weight in ounces of water per day. Of course, that's going to vary depending on your age, your gender, your activity level, the climate, the season, and your medical condition. So you really need to check with your own doctor about this one first, okay? But one of the easiest ways to know whether you drink enough water really is to check the color of your urine when you go to the bathroom. If it's dark yellow, it's very concentrated, which means you haven't been drinking much water. If it's clear, that's usually a good sign that you are drinking enough, okay? So I'm asked this question a lot. What about flavoring it? There are all those things out there you can use to flavor your water. Well, it's a preference, but I would caution you to not use those artificial flavorings in the packets or the bottles. They have a whole lot of chemicals and some artificial sweeteners, which we're going to talk about shortly. The easiest way is to infuse them with some water, some fruit. And I'm going to be giving you an infused water booklet this week in your email. So check that out for some recipes. And these, there are a couple of things that I do include in the booklet. One of them is my ginger cinnamon tea. So that's a warm drink. You can just add lemon to a pitcher or a mason jar or even just your glass and drink that during the day. There's a whole lot of ways you can do it. You can Google it, but check out the booklet that I provide. One thing I do want to caution you about is if you do have reflux or GERD, then you want to check with your doctor first, because sometimes in those cases, citrus and cinnamon can worsen those symptoms. So I don't want that to be you, okay? But you can use some other berries or other flavorings, and the easiest is just put water in a pitcher or mason jar. You add the fruit and then stash all that in the fridge, and then the next day you have some infused water to drink. All right, here are 2 ways that I use to increase my water consumption every day. So in the first picture, I've got a couple of different like thermoses or a Yeti cup. And the thermos, I keep that in my car. So I just refill that as I need it. So anytime I'm driving, I already have some water there. And my Yeti, I keep it right here by me, where it is right now. I've got it here. And that's so that when I'm working here in the office, I have some water that I can drink. And then the small cup is the glass I was telling you about that I keep in my bathroom, and that way I can drink it anytime I go in there. All right, a goal without a plan is just a wish. Well, we talked last week about meal planning and prepping as being keys to your successful healthy eating, right? And that's going to continue this week. So meal plan, you definitely want to keep doing that, and prepping and doing your shopping, a time when you're not starving and a time when you have a little bit more time so you're not rushing and grabbing all the boxed items, right? So either use the meal planner I included last week or one type that you prefer, but I know that you have some goals or you wouldn't have signed up for this program. You don't have just wishes. So use the meal planning to really help you with some of your successful healthy eating. Okay, last week we talked briefly about macronutrients, but I wanted to dig in deeper today, and I wanted to mention in the video about protein. But macronutrients are the bigger nutrients in our diet. That's your protein, your carbohydrates, and your fats, okay? All 3 are important because all 3 provide different benefits. Now, protein, as we discussed, has about 4 grams of calories per gram. 4 grams of calories, and carbs are the same. We'll talk about fats next week, and those have 9 calories per gram, okay? So proteins, of course, are found in your meats, fish, eggs, nuts, and seeds, plus they're in some plants like quinoa. And they are also in, there's some protein in dairy if you can tolerate it. And the proteins are really good for cell and muscle growth and repair, hair regrowth, bone strengthening. It promotes healing and helps with your metabolism, which after 40 is very important, right? And I hope you were able last week to add some healthy protein to your breakfast. And I hope you're noticing that you're feeling fuller and not getting quite as hungry, and maybe have a little bit more energy. So let's dig in now to carbohydrates. So what comes to mind when you think of carbohydrates? And it might be, you see the word up there in the graphic, the carbs. It may be breads and croissants and cookies and pastries and muffins, right? But that's not what we're going to talk about during this program, right? We're going to talk about the most nutritious foods for our body, our mind, and our soul, right? So we're going to be talking about healthy complex carbs, but let's do a deeper dive on those. All right, so there are two types, and this is showing you simple carbohydrates, okay? But all carbohydrates in general are made of three parts: fiber, starch, and sugar. And the main function of carbohydrates is to provide us with energy. So both of these pictures that you're looking at right now show cookies and cakes, and those are examples of simple or refined carbohydrates. And it includes, besides cookies and cakes, pasta, packaged cereals, the pastries and crackers, baked goods, things like that. Simple carbs have been stripped of their natural fiber and nutrients. They might taste good, but that's because the manufacturers add in lots of sugar and processed oils, and they kind of give you a feel-good sensation in your mouth, but they create more cravings because you're wanting more and more without providing nutrients. So instead, we want to focus on complex carbohydrates. These are the healthiest type that you can eat. You just have to know the difference between the complex carbohydrates and simple so that you can make wise choices, right? But the complex carbohydrates are found in fruits and veggies, like these pictures show. Also are found in beans, whole grains. Now, the carbs turn into glucose or sugar in your body to provide that energy that we do need, right? But the complex carbohydrates are going to give you more fiber, and they're going to take longer to digest, so you remain fuller longer. So that's going to lead to less hunger and cravings, right? And so then you're not going to want to eat all the time. And that's going to help with your metabolism and your weight management. Also will keep the energy levels high and keep your moods a little bit more stable as well. And they have so many nutrients, vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, which your body, your mind, and your soul need, right? Now, the refined simple carbohydrates, though, they cause your blood sugar levels to rise so quickly, and they're digested so quickly, so you're going to become hungry quicker, and you're going to want more and more. And they, like I said before, have very little nutritional value. The only thing they do is stimulate your cravings of them, right? So think about fruits and veggies, and think about both starchy and non-starchy. And I'm going to explain in just a minute the difference in those. But one serving of complex carbohydrates is about 1/2 to 1 cup. It depends upon the fruit or the veggie. Like for leafy greens, you know, a lot of people say you can eat anywhere from 2 to 4 cups. Fruits, maybe less than that, like 1/2 to 3/4. But you want to consider lower glycemic fruit, like berries. But even starchier veggies like squashes, butternut squashes, and sweet potatoes are so much better for you than a candy bar, right? All right, so these are some examples of both starchy and non-starchy carbohydrates. The key is you want to eat the rainbow, have a variety and plenty of your complex carbohydrates. If you are trying to eat a more low-carb diet, then you're going to want to eat more of the non-starchy carbs rather than the starchy. However, both of them supply healthier glucose for your body, okay? And they're anti-inflammatory, which is going to help fight the aging process, and also your risk for chronic diseases like heart disease, diabetes, cancer, and all that. Vegetables are going to be a little bit lower in like sugar, fat, and sodium, and higher in fiber. And it's going to help keep you fuller longer and help with regular digestive movements, okay? The difference in the starchy and non-starchy is the amount of starch or carb in there, right? And the starchier veggies are going to be higher in carbs and calories. That's why some people have jumped on the bandwagon to eat low carb, or maybe you've heard about keto out there. You know, you're going to have to figure out what works better for your body. I know for me personally, I wasn't able to tolerate the keto for long periods of time. And some women I find can do it temporarily, but not long term. But you need to figure out what's going to work better for your body. Most of the time, it's a combination of non-starchy and starchy, and that helps keep your energy level high. But check with your own medical practitioner, okay? All right, so this week we're going to work on adding a healthy carb into your daily diet. If you have not been eating many at all, then try to do one a day. If you have been, then try to add at least one per meal, okay? And so since we've been talking about habit stacking, here's an example. You could say, when I serve myself a meal, I will always put 1 to 2 veggies on my plate first. That way, if you kind of fill up your plate a little bit more with veggies, you're going to want to put less of the proteins and the whole grains. And I'm going to show you an example in just a minute. Or here's another one. When I'm making my dinner, I will add a small salad as well. So that'll help you eat a salad every day. But you can also add them to smoothies and soups and stews. You can roast them on the weekends, and that way you'll have enough for your week ahead. And here are a few more ideas about it. So write down 2 to 3 options of how you're going to incorporate the healthy carbs into your diet, okay? And then just write it down. Maybe every 2 to 3 days you alternate it, okay, rather than every week. Prepare the night before, just like we did with healthy breakfast. Prepare what you're going to have for healthy carbs the next day. Write down what you're going to have, and you could pack some for tomorrow's lunch to go. For salads, put the dressing on the bottom, and then you can shake it up when you get to work or wherever you're going. Or you can bring dressing in a tiny container. Make up smoothies the night before, right after dinner, and pour them into mason jars, and then you can eat it for lunch tomorrow, or even for snack in the afternoon. And I like to eat leftovers even for breakfast and lunch. You can get a crock pot ready to cook. It could cook overnight, and then if you're going to be home, you can have some lunch the next day, or you can even get it ready for dinner tomorrow night. And one of my favorites is cooking up, grilling or roasting. And I'll do meats and veggies on the weekend, and then we can eat on it during the week, or I freeze it. And then it's easy to pull that out of the freezer as well. So those are just a few ideas. Okay, so here is a healthy nutrition plate. I like this because I'm kind of a visual person, and it kind of helps me see. So you have your plate, and you want to picture it where you are eating about, to make it easier on yourself, think of it in quarters. And you can do a quarter of healthy protein, a quarter of it veggies and fruits, and a quarter of it whole grains, okay? Now, this is based on experts in nutrition. I've kind of adapted a little bit and tweaked. It's still not completely perfect, but it may help you kind of visualize your plate and what you should do. So in general, the whole grains are a complex carb, but because they react a little differently in your body, that's why I've got them kind of as a separate picture here. Now, I personally do not eat that much of the whole grains. I tend to eat more of the veggies, fruits, and the proteins. But remember, you got to figure out what's going to work better for your own body. Some of the whole grains, besides what I mentioned on here, I put the brown rice and quinoa. It could include oats and amaranth and even some gluten like wheat. I don't normally recommend wheat because a lot of my clients have some sensitivities or autoimmune issues, and they'll have bloating and headaches, and that bothers them. But you experiment and see what's better for you, and talk to your own doctor as well. We're going to talk about healthy fats next week, so I'm not going to talk about those. And beverages, water is key. Like I mentioned, coffee and tea is okay, but avoid those sugary drinks. You don't want to be drinking your sugar, right? Okay, so since we've been talking about carbohydrates, let's talk about some regular sugar. Okay, we know that all carbs turn into sugar in your body for energy, right? That's the way God designed it. But not all sugars are equal, right? Oops, let me get back to that. Where did it go? Sorry about that. There we go. Okay, so we want to eat the healthy carbs with the nutrition, with the nutrients, like I just talked about. Okay, but when we eat pure sugar, we are getting very little nutrients and we are getting a quick rise in our blood sugar. Okay, and it may give us a quick energy, but we do that crazy dance like I talked about. You remember that? We're hungry, we need energy, so we eat sugar. Then we feel good, we have this high for a little bit, but then what happens? We crash and we crave, so we eat sugar again. So instead, we want to get energy from more natural sources, those complex carbs, your proteins, and your healthy fat. Okay. If your body can enjoy an occasional treat, that is fine. But you could be somebody who even a small treat will cause you to go on a binge or a runaway train of eating too much sugar for a while. So you may need to avoid it for a little bit, maybe not forever. Okay. But sugar is in so many different products. And I'm going to show you their sneaky names in just a minute, but even like salad dressings and pasta sauces have them. Be sure you're reading those food labels. Okay, so here are just a few sneaky names for sugar that you want to be aware of. And please be checking those food labels. But if the word ends in OSE, it's probably a sugar. Things like maltose, sucrose, lactose, dextrose, those are sugars. Also, fructose can be a little tricky, okay? We have high fructose corn syrup, which is a product that's grown recently, but research is showing that it's not healthy for you. I'm not going to do a deep dive on that right now because I covered that in other programs, but do your own research, okay? But now fructose, regular fructose is in fruit, and those are healthier, but you just have to be aware because sometimes manufacturers will write fructose, and it's because they have high levels of fruit juice concentrate, which is a whole lot of sugar at one time. Some other names you might see are molasses and caramel, brown rice syrup, malt, mannitol. Now, I get asked about honey and pure maple syrup. Well, those do have some nutrients in them, and they are a bit healthier than white blood sugar, but they will spike your blood sugar if you eat them alone. So the key is if you're going to partake of something, make sure you've eaten a meal or a small snack with your healthy protein, carbs, and fat before you eat anything with sugar. And that's going to help your blood sugar levels remain more stable. Okay. But in some of my recipes, my website, you will notice that I do have a small amount of honey or pure maple syrup. Now, I'm not meaning your pancake syrup, right? Pure maple syrup. But I always provide a no sugar option, and we're going to talk about those in just a minute. All right, so if you do want to eat some sweet treats that are a bit healthier, what can you use? Now, I grew up with the pink artificial sweeteners. I don't know about you, and those had saccharin. And I've tried others over the years, and many of you probably have as well. But I remember having headaches and some GI issues, but I didn't really associate with that with the products until years later. Initially, those were developed to help people have lower calorie and lower sugar, and diabetics and others were using them. But they've been shown through research that they are causing some neuro physiological problems like the headaches, migraines, mood issues, anxiety, depression, even insomnia and learning issues and thinking. So you want to really do your research. You know, I'm talking about the yellow, the pink, and the blue packets. Those are the unhealthier sucralose, saccharin, and aspartame, respectively. So you really want to be cautious about using those. However, the good news is there are some healthier options to use. Products like stevia and monk fruit, which are all natural, and allulose, which is a newer product, which I have not used that much. Those do not affect your blood sugar levels. You can use them in drinks and smoothies, and if you're making a healthier ice cream or even baked items, right? The stevia and the monk fruit usually don't cause unpleasant side effects, you know, like the bloating and the gas. allulose may, so be cautious and listen to your body. And there's a variety of brands, not just these that I've listed here. So you may need to try some and see what you like better. Be cautious about sugar alcohols. Those are the things that end in the OL, like erythritol and erythritol and xylitol. And they're in products like Truvia and Stevia. And some manufacturers actually will use a blend of one of those plus like a Stevia or monk fruit. So just read those food labels and make sure you're only getting what you want. I have found that stevia and monk fruit are better personally for me and many of my clients, but I have other friends and clients who do fine on the sugar alcohol. So do your research and experiment for you. Okay, let's talk a little bit about sleep. Oh, why is sleep such a hard one, right? People want to stay up late. It's kind of peaceful, especially if you have kids. I understand. I used to do it. But sleep really is key to our health. And when we're over 40, it's important in our metabolism and helping to maintain a healthy weight. When we don't get enough sleep over the years, it can also affect our cognition and our longevity, okay? When you've missed a night's sleep, how do you feel the next day? And how do you function? Not very well, right? Now, why does the lack of sleep affect our weight and our metabolism? It's because of two hunger hormones we have going on, ghrelin and leptin. You may have heard about these, but ghrelin signals your brain when you're hungry. Think about you're hungry as a bear and the bear says grr, and that'll help you remember. Leptin is made by your fat cells, and that actually lets your brain know when you are feeling full, so you'll stop eating, okay? But a shortened sleep duration is associated with higher stress, and that can cause a reduction in your leptin, but an increase in your ghrelin. And you know what that means, right? That means then you sleep less, you're going to get hungry more, so you're going to eat more, which is going to affect your metabolism, so you gain weight. And I know you don't want to do that simply because you don't have enough sleep. So that's one reason why our daily 4 is talking about trying to get at least 7 hours of sleep a night. All right, so daily affirmation that we're going to include this week. I'm just reminding you, you can use the one from last week, come up with your own, try to write it down in a couple of spots. Your bathroom mirror or your car or even on your phone to pop up. And you can use a Bible verse or another affirmation. Here's one, since we're talking about sleep this week, that I like. It's from Psalm 4:8, and it says, I will lie down and sleep in peace, for you alone, Lord, enable me to live securely. And I like that one. And if you can say it right before you go to sleep, and it kind of helps you set yourself up for more peace at night. But remember, we want to saturate our mind in God's word, and that is really going to help us make some positive changes long term. All right, so here's a reminder about our daily 4 framework. So you're going to try to drink more water. You're going to have a 5-minute quiet time. You're going to write in your gratitude journal, and you're going to try to get more sleep, right? And so here are our action steps for this week. So our daily framework, you're going to drink more water and try some infused and see if you like that. Also add 1 to 2 complex carbs to your day or your meal like I talked about. But if you haven't been doing any, just per day. Continue with your meal planning and shopping and prepping and eating breakfast with protein. And focus on the importance of sleep, okay? Because that's going to really help you with your hunger and your weight and your energy levels as well. So I know that change can be hard, but we are working on taking just one small step at a time, right? Progress, not perfection. I want to remind you of that. So reach out this week and let me know if you need anything or have any questions. Just know that I do believe in you and I know that you can do this. So I hope you have a great week and let me know how I can help you this week. That's all for now. Have a great week. Bye-bye for now.